Good afternoon. I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching. As always, it's appreciated. Keir Starmer could be done. Now, I've seen a lot of posts on X and whatnot saying he's got 6 months to go. He needs to turn the fortunes of the Labour Party around in the next 6 months or he's going to be toast. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it could be far, far sooner. And I want to bring up some information. First of all, as a public, as public approval, it's around 13%. I'd like to know who these 13% are. Have you met anybody that likes Keir Starmer at all in the country? I think it's specifically the metropolitan elites in London like Keir Starmer, nobody else. That's the first thing I would say. Then we move on to this image. Rumours are swirling that Westminster suggests Keir Starmer may soon resign. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. The entire country, apart from the 13%, agree. He's by far the most unpopular Prime Minister we have ever had, and that is saying something. In my lifetime, each Prime Minister, 83 by the way, that's when I was born, every Prime Minister has got increasingly worse until we are stuck with this godforsaken mess that is two-tier Keir. Now, before we all pop open the champagne and say job well done, this may present a problem to those reformy type people or people on the right of centre in politics. And the first issue is Andy Burnham, who is the Mayor of Manchester. Andy Burnham may be making a move for Labour leadership, which is what I said months ago on my channel. It is now obvious to everyone Keir Starmer will be ousted. It's just when will it happen? The plan is for Labour MP Andrew Gwynn to resign. Sorry, he's no longer a Labour MP. Independent MP Andrew Gwynn to resign. His ultra-safe Gorton seat to Burnham, and he becomes an MP. And then it'll be Burnham versus Rayner. All right. Some things to unpack on that particular thing. First of all, this is the chap, Andrew Gwynn. He had the whip removed. He was Under Secretary for Health for Keir Starmer. After an elderly constituent complained about his bins, Gwynn wrote that he hoped she'd pass away, shall we say. This is utterly disgraceful, and he should have done the right thing at the time and actually called a by-election. And then we move on to this. This is a red wall seat, like my seat over in Runcorn and Helsby. And my seat was won by Reform UK by 6 votes. Now this seat, which is Andrew Gwynn's, is Gorton and Denton. This is a similar situation to my seat, where it would go down to the wire. Well, if you look, in last year's general election, Reform came second. Now, it wasn't a close second, but my seat was something similar. I think my Reform candidate got about 8,000 votes last year, and we overturned that one. So it wouldn't be easy to overturn this one, but it's definitely doable. There's some politics in play here as well that I want to make you aware of. First of all, Angela Rayner, by virtue of being Deputy Prime Minister, the Ginger Growler, Growler of the North, whatever you want to call her, she will automatically become Prime Minister when Keir Starmer resigns, and then it'll be put out to a vote with the leadership. This is assuming Andy Burnham can get a seat as MP. Now, I'm using this example, the one in Gorton and Denton, because it's the obvious candidate. Now, it's whether he would actually win it, which is up in the air. But then you look at other policies that Andy Burnham has. First of all, he's a savvy politician. He's a savvy politician because when Corbyn became leader of the Labour Party, the first thing Andy Burnham did is said, right, I'm resigning, I'm not standing as a candidate now for the Labour Party. He said, fuck that, fig and the volleys, got out of Dodge, and went and become the Labour Mayor of Manchester. Now, if you listen to some people like Nick Buckley, who I do recommend you watch his channel, he said that he may have made Manchester marginally better, but it is fractionally better than it was before Andy Burnham took the mayoralty in Manchester and that role was created. So it's slightly better, but it's not a ringing endorsement by any means. And then you look at this one. Andy Burnham remained silent when the Oldham councillors voted against a measures to allow the government to lead an inquiry regarding CSE and trafficking despite being at the meeting. So that's something you can hold his feet to the fire over straight away. And even if they did manage to install him as PM, obviously it goes to Rayner to begin with because she's Deputy PM, and then it'll be put out to the membership, and it'll probably be between Burnham, if he can secure a seat before the 2028-29 election, to actually be able to stand as PM. Now, you let me know. I mean, me personally, I've moved it on this channel personally. He's untarnished by the current Labour government's reckless policies. So he could slide in, and there is a bit of a risk there to those on the right, because he's vaguely competent. I'm not endorsing him, by the way. Let's just be clear. I'm doing a risk assessment, and for those people on the right, people who are of that disposition, Burnham is the significant threat. Not overcome. We can. It's not insurmountable. We can get past this. But everybody cheering for Keir Starmer to go. Yes, I want him to go as well. But it puts the right in a precarious position. Right now, weak is Labour, and we need them in a weak position. Otherwise, the right may not win the next election. That's just my view. Your mileage, as always, may vary. Comment below. Let me know if you think I'm making some good points here. Do you think Keir Starmer's going to go? Do you think Burnham is the biggest threat that the right has to worry about? Who else is there? Bridget Phillipson? Nah. Jess Phillips? Nah. West Reading? Nah. I'm not afraid of any of them. Anyway, these are just my thoughts. Like, subscribe, do all that great stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. You have a good evening.